party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else!
We don't want to know!
We're dedicated
To our favorite shows!
Oh, my circuits!
Everybody loves Hypnotoad!
Scary dog!
Pearson at Blurnsball!
Futurama!
Good evening. You are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premier podcast, TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And tonight, our favorite show is Green Eggs and Ham, Sam I Am, brought to you by the good people at, actually, the Green Eggs and Ham, the second serving, brought to you by the good people at Gulfstream Pictures, a stern talking to... a very good production, Warner Brothers Animation, and Netflix. Green Eggs and Ham is an American animated comedy adventure streaming television series based on the 1960s Dr. Seuss book of the same title. The initial miniseries premiered on November 8th, 2019 on Netflix and received critical acclaim for its animation, humor, story, and voice acting. We reviewed this when it came out. You can check that in the archives. December 2019, Netflix ordered a sequel miniseries, which doubles as season 2, Green Eggs and Ham, the aforementioned second serving, which was released April 8th, 2022, and is a loose adaptation of the Butter Battle book. And joining me, as she does with all things animated, is Alexis Hejna from Honeysuckle Rose Creations. How do you do, madame?
Doing good. Nothing like going from a story about the importance of trying new things to a story about the dangers of escalating arms races.
Yeah, I thought that was a really, really good theme for children.
Absolutely.
For which the show is aimed. You know, mutually assured destruction, sharing is caring. That's the kind of thing you get in kindergarten, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. At least they changed the name from, in the book, it's the final weapon is actually called the Itsy Bitsy Big Boy Boomeroo. So, now it's the Moolaka Moo. Yeah,
and every time Adam Devine said the Moolaka Moo, I wanted to just start doing doo-wop. Like, here's the thing. we got to get the Moolaka Moo, wop-a-doo-bop, baby, doo-bop-a-doo-bop. Anywho, me and my brothers are out there on the corner doing doo-wop around the garbage can with the fire in it. You know what I mean?
Ooh, the mellow men, watch out.
that's right. So tell me about the Butter Battle book. You were saying before we started tonight that you've read it. That's a thing for you.
Is actually one of my favorite original Dr. Seuss stories from when I was a kid. It also had a TV special that was made by Ralph Bakshi, of all people, if you can believe it.
Wow.
It's one of the few Dr. Seuss specials from that time period that was not made by either Chuck Jones or Patty Freeling. Chuck Jones, of course, did the Horton Hears a Who and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Patty Freeling did the Lorax and Dr. Seuss on the Loose and all those classic bits.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different animation style, but it's a really great story. And yes, it is about the Cold War. You have these two countries, Yuki and Zukia, separated by a wall. And the only difference is the way they butter their toast. The Ukes butter their bread, butter side up. The Zooks butter side down. But that is enough to start this massive Cold War. And the story is told to a grandson by a man who is a guard at the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks about how every time the chief Yukaru gave him a new weapon to use against the Zooks either had a retaliation or they had the exact same weapon. Okay. And it ends with this Uke getting what's called the Itsy Bitsy Big Boy Boomeroo. It's basically a pocket-sized nuclear bomb.
Gotcha.
And all the he's told, go, it's like, run to the wall like a nice little man and drop this bomb on the Zooks just as fast as you can. So he goes to the wall. His grandson's there at the wall, and he shows him what he's going to do. And there's been this other Zook who has always been the one who's retaliated against him. And he comes off the wall, and he's got an Itsy Bitsy Big Boy Boomeroo. And the book ends with the Uke and the Zook both standing on the wall holding their bombs at each other, and the grandson is watching all of this and what's like, "Grandpa, be careful, easy, oh gee, who's gonna drop it, will you or will he?" And the Uke goes, "Be patient, we'll see." And it ends with "the end?" question mark.
Interesting. So I didn't know that. I didn't know about any of that when I was watching this. I just thought they invented a wholly new plot for season 2 because the first one was so popular. But it's interesting that this is pretty much derived exactly from the Butter Battle book. Also, I do find that interesting that, Dr. Seuss was like, we have to talk about the Cold War. We have to talk about mutually assured destruction, but my audience is children. So how and I do find it, I don't know if if in his opinion, the differences between the Soviet Union and America at the time were so ridiculous that he was like, it might as well be between buttering bread side up or side down. Or if it was, I have to take a incredibly complex concept here and reduce it to something a child may understand.
Well, you got to remember, Dr. Seuss actually got his start doing propaganda political cartoons. I actually have a book of his World War II cartoons. It's one of my favorite books in my library, especially when you realize just how many of those could still be used today.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, wow, that doesn't look too different. I think my favorite one is I think the biggest thing he hated was the US's indifference to the war in Europe. Because let's face it, if you're a World War II story, it took a while for America to actually try to get involved.
We had a long history of disengagement. I want to say, I can't remember which president it was, but a lot of presidents won a lot of elections on the idea of we'll take this half of the world, Europe, Africa, and Asia can do its own thing, and we'll be protected by the Atlantic Ocean. And then, in the face, what you're talking about, in the face of World War II, us going, I mean, as you were about to say, we let a lot of stuff go. And we worked for both sides. I don't know if people know that. We were selling technology to the Germans during all of that, and some other things. There was a lot of, like I said, neutrality and working both sides up until the Japanese attacked us. And then it was like, well, I guess we need to get involved now. And yeah, there were a good portion of people that thought we should have gotten involved a lot earlier than we did.
Yeah, there was this, oh God, I'm trying to remember. There's this one cartoon where it shows a salesman selling ostrich hats. So you could bury your head in the ground and ignore everything around you. And then there's another one with a grandmother reading, I think it's the Three Little Pigs. It's some sort of fairy tale. And then but the pigs were European, so we don't care. So Dr. Seuss has a history of stuff like this. I mean, if you actually analyze a lot of his books, there's a theme to a lot of them that kids aren't going to get, but I mean, but adults, you read them and it's like, no, there's a plot to this. There's a reason for this. And I think that's one of the reasons I love him so much.
So my dad's in his 70s now, which, tells you how old he was when all of this stuff was new. And I remember growing up as a kid, my dad had certain catchphrases, one of which was, "I'm the god of hellfire and you're going to burn, baby, burn," which was popular amongst my friends. But the other one tells
this
you a lot
is the
about
man who we brought in to listen to us discuss Looney Tunes meets DC, huh?
Yes, and on the trivia show where he knew none of the answers, despite having watched all of the cartoons. In any case, one of the things that he used to say came from Dr. Seuss, and it was "Horton Hears a Who," and it was something along the lines of "An elephant faithful."
100%.
I said what I meant, and I meant what I said.
What I said, an elephant's faithful 100. I said what I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful 100%.
And it spoke to my dad's sort of value of honesty and keeping true to your commitments. That if you say you're going to do something, you need to do it, and if you say something, you need to mean it.
For the record, that's actually from Horton Hatches the Egg.
Oh, okay. Either way, I had both as a kid, and he read them both to me as a child.
Oh, they're both. I should add, it's actually on my bucket list to have a complete library of Dr. Seuss's work. It's
including the ones that are now banned.
Huh?
Including the ones that are now banned.
Oh, I've got a copy, and to think that I saw it on Mulberry Street.
Okay. Is that now officially?
It's part of those. It's one of those larger collections. It's got
Yeah.
multiples in it because that was considered a staple of Seuss for a very long time.
Back when, and we'll transition to the show shortly, but we discussed that on, I think, a Damn You Hollywood during one of the news segments, didn't we? About the Dr. Seuss Corporation was, whatever it's called, was no longer, they weren't banning the books, but they thought that there was a handful of books they thought were problematic and not worth the time of getting into it with select groups that tend to protest these sort of things. And so they were just going to stop printing certain books. And one of them was What I Learned on Mulberry Street, or whatever the name of it's called. And there was a couple of others.
Yeah, it's not so much that they're problematic. It's more that a handful of them have illustrations that are no longer PC.
Yeah.
Dr. Seuss did live in another time period. And yeah, Mulberry Street has a Chinaman eating food with sticks. And he's got the hat and the squinty eyes.
Did you have all the ones that are now no longer being printed? Is my question.
Not all of them.
Okay.
But I've got but the Mulberry Street one, I believe, is one of the most popular ones people like to bitch about because yeah, it's just the Chinaman. You know, and I'm using that with giant air quotes. I don't use that term.
Are you talking about Chinese Chinaman, Alexis? I don't even know if you know that reference, and I do it all the time. I stole that from Andrew Dice Clay.
Of course you did.
Have you ever heard his 42 long bit?
No.
Okay, so Andrew Dice Clay walks into it. When I'm done here, go right into the next thing. Go right into your article that you wanted to talk about. But I have to now tell you about Andrew Dice Clay. So Andrew Dice Clay, in his bit, goes into a tailor shop, and he goes, "Hey, I walk into this tailor shop, and there's this Chinese Chinaman." And he was like, "You want suit?" And he says, "Yeah, 42 long." And so the guy looks at him, he goes, "40? No, 42 long." You can see where this is going, right? That
sounds like a very old Monty Python bit, honestly.
It really does. It cracks me up every time I hear it, and I'll still do like the 42 long thing, but mostly I just stole this here Chinese Chinaman. Every time Robert and I have discussed the Chinese movie market, that's the first words out of my mouth. But hey, I hear there's rumblings on Netflix.
There are, unfortunately. Doing a little research, I was trying to find out if we're going to get a Green Eggs and Ham season 3, but while I do still have my fingers crossed for it, it was just revealed that the Netflix animation department, specifically the kids and family space at Netflix Animation, has been gutted. Phil Rinda, whose official title is Netflix's Director of Creative Leadership and Development for Original Animation, was let go this last week, along with several of his staff.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I'm not finding a major reason other than it is common news for those who follow this kind of thing. Netflix's stock plummeted more than 30% in subscriber and revenue loss after its first quarter earnings report, which is a serious drop. Among other things that Netflix has announced is the cracking down on password sharing. They think this is a major reason why it's gone down so badly, is that people have they've realized that they're not getting new subscribers. We're just, giving our password to our parents, basically.
So I'm wondering how much of this is, I mean, for them to have gone after the Family and Children's Center, I'm wondering if there's just not enough of a draw there anymore. They have a serious competitor in that particular space with Disney. And so I look at like my kids. Yeah, my kids watch a lot of anime. They're both getting into the tween age. I have an 8 and an 11-year-old. A lot of the Netflix stuff is things they might not have ever heard of or are interested in. They're either going to go to where the anime is. The anime is on Crunchyroll or Hulu. Some of it's on Netflix, but not all of it. And then they know Disney. And then whatever else is out there, DreamWorks, Peacock,
Paramount Plus, and Nickelodeon.
Right. So there's other places to go for more well-known children content, and I'm wondering if now Netflix is feeling the pinch, and that's why they decided like this. It isn't. I'm wondering if it's half. We have the money, we'll just spend on a well-known entity instead of trying to create new things, or if it's just their whole children's section just isn't drawing like it once was.
I think the thing I'm most upset about this is that there's been an animated series that they've been wanting to do for ages. It was confirmed a while back. It's based on Okay, what's the name of the author who did this? I want to make sure I got it right. Jeff Smith's comic book Bone.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with
Vaguely.
Bone?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Bone, the comic.
Yeah, they first announced in 2019 they were going to do an animated series based on the book, which I
Mhm.
was really excited about because I loved Bone. I have the complete series. That's just been announced they're canceling it.
Wow.
Pre-production apparently got pushed back massively due to the end of the world in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I guess they were still trying to get it off the stage. They were, I guess, going to do several Roald Dahl based projects, and they were doing an adaptation of his story The Twits, which I'm a huge Roald Dahl fan, but I'm not 100% familiar with that. That's also been cut. For some reason they're still going with Boss Baby. I don't know why.
Because that has an audience. Like I think even when they did the last Boss Baby movie and it was day and date on Peacock, it still did pretty well. Like people went to the theater to, like in the middle of the virus of unknown name from unknown origin and all of that. People were still taking their kids to go see family movies, and the Boss Baby was a big hit. My kids love the Boss Baby, and like they can be a little cynical at times. Like I've trained them up on movies such where they do have for children some discernible taste, and they think the Boss Baby is freaking hysterical. So it's got an audience.
So yeah, it's just kind of depressing, and it does leave Green Eggs and Ham in the lurch. This is an amazing series, probably one of the best things to have Dr. Seuss's name attached to it to come out in recent years. You know, compared to some.
Well, if you're comparing it to some of the live action stuff, boy, is that a low bar to clear.
I'm comparing it to the animated movies too. I'm sorry, I can't stand what they did with Benedict Cumberbatch as the Grinch.
Oh, are you talking about that last Grinch movie where it's like little Grinchy child? Robert and I reviewed that. I think that one we had a good time with. I remember my children really liking it. I thought you were going to say the Lorax.
I'm not a fan of that one either.
I was going to say I don't know anyone that likes the Lorax, including children.
So remember taking my aunt to see that, and literally I walked out saying, "Huh, I didn't know that the that Operation Wall Street had a co-writing credit on this." Didn't mean to make you do a spit take there.
Talking about Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah, what did I say?
Operation.
Oh, wrong O word. Yes, Occupy Wall Street.
I do it all the time. You are forgiven, madam. All right. Let's get into the actual Green Eggs and Ham here. The plot of this thing is we've got a couple of things going on, and we'll tackle them one at a time. I'm not going episode by episode, as people know. Just kind of a general 45-ish minute conversation here. We have Sam and his mom. That was the stinger at the end of season 1, where he thought his mother was the one cooking the green eggs and ham at the diner. And it sets him off on a journey to find his mother because he had been given up for adoption or something, some such thing. And then we have the butter battle stuff, which is Yukia and Zukia. We have Guy and the child who I can't remember the child, EB. They go off on an adventure by themselves. They get caught between these two warring factions. There's a lot of stuff with that that kind of ebbs and flows over the season, but that's their own story. And that even gets subdivided into EB meeting Romeo from across the wall and them having a Romeo and Juliet kind of a thing going on. And Guy, who is working for the government of, I think it's Zukia.
Yeah.
Okay, whichever one it is. And him now having like split loyalties, and then working towards sort of an understanding of, hey, between whatever side you're buttering your bread on, there's no need to fight. That is the whole theme there. Was I can't remember what, if any, was the third plot line to this. Or was that all of it?
Okay, let's see here. So yeah, we got Sam going off with that. We got Guy with his inventions. We got EB with Luca. There is the last minute plot addition of Michelle.
Who's pregnant in this? Yes.
Yes. Apparently, Guy and Michelle got married very fast.
Like you do.
And I guess whatever species they are go through pregnancy very fast. Because I think she says, like, I'm in my 3rd week mester.
Something like that.
And then it's like, so this baby could come at any time. So
can we just start there? This is look. every family handles childbirth and the birds and the bees, so to speak, differently with their children at different ages. This is obviously like a Y7 show, I believe is the rating.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Did it strike you as odd that they just straight up addressed like pregnancy in this show the way that they did? I mean, it wasn't like totally overt, but she's not pregnant in the first season. Obviously, they've obviously gotten together. There's some degree of implication. I'm the parent that brought that lets his kids watch Scream, so I'm not that guy. But considering there are parents abandoning Disney left and right because God forbid a child have her period in a cartoon, I'm wondering if this struck a chord with people. And they were like, no implication of nothing in my children's programming. What did you think about that?
I've seen far worse on some Disney cartoons. You know, they don't go into a lot with her being pregnant. Hell, I actually kind of like how they started up. That you have the narrator, Keegan-Michael Key, I think, is the glue that holds this show together. Not that anything else is like horrible, but his narration just makes everything so much better.
My son completely agrees with you. He thinks, and he didn't know that was Michael Keegan Key, but he did say, he was like, whoever this narrator is, he's the best part of the show.
It really, he's the part that just makes everything better. I love it. There's so many bits that had me in hysterics. You have him getting mad at the other narrator when they go to the museum and and they're watching a presentation, so it's another narrator and he's just like, you're stealing my job. You have, and yeah, we have this bit where he's talking about, let's see what Michelle is up to. She's going to the doctor. Yay. Okay. And then at the end, it's like, she's expecting a baby. We missed all the signs. Yes, you were bored too.
Yeah, there's a lot of fourth wall breaking with the narrator in this, which I think is funny.
Absolutely. Not to mention, he reads everything with such a passion. It doesn't come across as like, you would imagine this guy in the recording booth jumping up and down, just getting so excited while he's reading, and it really adds to it.
Was it LeVar Burton that took over Picture Pages recently, or I see he did some? It had that vibe though of like when you're an actor and you get to take over something you got to see as a child. I don't remember if it was Picture Pages or if it was something else, Reading Rainbow maybe, but I remember LeVar Burton taking over something from when I was a child, and him had just having the kind of exuberance that you're referring to. And Michael Keegan Key is the same thing here, where it's just like, who would have thought in any part of his career he got to do anything related to Dr. Seuss? And obviously Dr. Seuss resonates with people in and about our age. So when someone gives you that opportunity to do a gig, yeah, he brings to it an energy that I don't necessarily see in some other stuff. Like you could see his giddiness or hear his giddiness in it.
And that's part of the fun. We love hearing how excited he is. We love hearing how much he's getting into this. Hell, there's a part where he talks about how tired he is because he's been following EB and Luca, who have stayed up all night together touring Ukiah. And he mentions about how tired he is, but then there's a sudden plot twist and he's like, okay, I'm in for a long night. He's like, okay, I'm not going to bed.
We talked about with the first season, how do you take Green Eggs and Ham, which is, like a lot of Dr. Seuss books, it sort of teaches you like rhyme scheme. Like, yes, there's the theme of trying new things, but Dr. Seuss is progressively, in terms of language, they add a word here, it rhymes with another word, and then it just builds and builds and builds, and finally he's like, fuck it, I'll eat the eggs. And then that's it, it's over. And like, how do you make it? Because I remember even my kids asking at the time, because I used to read Green Eggs to them all the time. As a matter of fact, if you go in our archives, there's an audio version of me dramatically reading Green Eggs and Ham to Jesse. Have you not heard this?
I remember this.
Okay, yeah. We were going to do a series of these. We only ended up doing the one. But yeah, I used to dramatically read Green Eggs and Ham to my kids. And when I told them about the series back then, they were like, how do you make a series out of this? And they successfully did it. They turned it into a road picture. And they would draw from certain elements of the progressive language, but that was it. That was the whole show. So when they were like, another season of this, I'm like, what are they going to do? And I guess the point that I'm getting to is this is Green Eggs and Ham in name only now. Like, they're committed to the name because that's what brings you back to watch it again. But boy, did this have nothing to do with Green Eggs and Ham. Not a thing.
Yeah, the only part of Green Eggs and Ham that continues this in the first episode, the fact that they're following the egg recipe, the green eggs. So they're like, okay, this is our only clue, this farm where the green eggs came from, because Sam is convinced they taste exactly like the eggs his mother did. And then you have a continuing story arc where what Sam wants more than anything, now that he's found his mother, is for her to make him green eggs and ham, like when he was an infant. And I would say at least once per episode, we get a mention of him saying, it's like, okay, so what's on dinner, Mom? Maybe green eggs and ham or something like that. And it is kind of cute, and it is satisfying when he finally gets it. And it's really sweet at the end when he makes it for his mother. But for the most part, it has nothing to do with the original story. Again, they've incorporated now the Butter Battle book, which is a lot of fun. And apparently somebody had way too much fun coming up with the episode titles, because every single episode title is a parody of a James Bond movie. Not only that, but they strangely work. It's like it's you have one called on her. It's like well, you have Guy Fall, and it's like that's the episode where Guy gets in trouble.
Let's go through these one by one. We have the Mom Identity, Tinker Tailor Mother Spy, Golden Guy, 3 Days of the Mom Door, To Yukio with Love is fucking fantastic. You Only Mom Twice, because of course you do. Guy Fall, that's the one you were just talking about. The Sam Who Came In From the Cold, On Her... I didn't even realize this. I was, like I said, I was like half watching, half distracted.
You were probably hitting the skip intro button after the first episode.
Yeah, my son couldn't take it, and he wouldn't have gotten any of these jokes.
I gotta ask though, what did you think of the James Bond song that starts the episodes?
I'm gonna get there in a second. Her Duchess's Secret Service and The Mom Who Loved Me. Aw, Alexis, Hejna. Aw.
But again, if you actually remember what goes on in the episodes, they make sense. For example, the You Only Mom Twice, which is hilarious. That's the one where they land on what is essentially Dr. Seuss's Bermuda Triangle. And they find that the further they go into the island, they get younger. So you have this beyond adorable sequence when they're fleeing off the island. And Sam has turned into a baby at the center of the island. And as they're fleeing, he's getting older. And Pam, his mother, is reliving all the things she missed out on him as he gets older. His first word, his first steps, getting to ride a bike for the first time. It's so cute, but it's like, you only mom twice. She is mom twice. It's so fitting.
You asked me what did I think, and we can transition into Sam talking fully about Sam and his mom and that whole story arc. But so it opens with the mom, and you don't know it's the mom at the time. You think it's Sam. That's what the narrator is alluding to. And then, oh no, it's not Sam. And she's doing like spy ninja stuff. And I remember my son's reaction to this. He was like, what does this have to do with green eggs and ham? I mean, we're gonna find out. But it's a fair point, like where if you're coming into this cold, you're like, what does this have to do with anything? I want to talk specifically about some of how things develop over the season, the 10 episodes with Sam and his mom, because there's a lot of, first we have to establish that, first they have to get them together. Then we have to establish why she broke away from him. Then they force them together as Sam is trying to get, his validation from her. He's trying to get her to accept him back into her life. And she's, a big tough lady who don't need no child. And, she is committed to the spy game. And, and so there's a lot of rough ups and downs between the two of them. And then finally they form a bond. And then at the end, he makes her green eggs and ham and she likes them. And that legitimately brought a tear to my eye. Like, for whatever the reasons were, that resonated with me. It was a very sweet moment in the show and very satisfying. That first little bit where the problem with the Sam character is I think he works, but he's also really annoying. And his like one defining character trait is persistence. So the whole first season, it's getting Guy to try green eggs and ham, which makes sense because that's how he is in the book. This one, it's Mom, why don't you love me? And he's messing things up along the way. And in a way, it's following the trope of that kind of character. But and then the other part of it is I don't know how much I love Adam Devine anymore, or Devine, however you pronounce his name. Like, he gets grating. It didn't. I might have mentioned this even in the first season review, where like after a while, I feel like they just beat that horse to death. And between the actors' just vocal work and the characterization, you want Sam to succeed because he's the hero of the story next to Guy. On the other hand, you want to beat him senseless because he's the most annoying thing ever.
Yes and no. His other characteristic trait is that Sam sees the best in everything and everyone. He's eternally optimistic, and we see a lot of that in the first season, and that it tends to pay off for him, having this sunny side look like his sunny side eggs. Shoot me.
I got you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Has always benefited him. And I think that's part of the reason why I loved him so much in the first season is I just, it's impossible to watch some of the things he does and not have a smile on your face. It's a contagious enjoyment.
I think because I'm so steeped in film and television criticism, I couldn't, it was hard, it was a little difficult for me to break away from the tropiness of it.
You're basically saying you're just too negative. You're
I'm too negative.
You're the grumpy old man in the mountains, and you don't want them painted.
How about they didn't do enough with it to differentiate itself from the natural trope?
Okay, I'll give you that.
Thank you. It felt like they leaned on it a little too much, and I'm like, all right, we get it. Like, get to the next thing, then let's move this on. There's other stuff happening in the show. I wanted Sam to succeed. I wanted Sam and his mother to be together, and I was satisfied when it happened. That's what I said a few minutes ago. But the way they got there was a little grating, and I'm glad they were like. I much preferred the stuff with Luca and Evie to everything else happening in the show. And by the same token, I have the same issues with the mom, where the mom's like, I can't remember what the exact thing is, but it's like, I want to be a spy. I'm gonna be a spy. This is too dangerous to be dragging an infant around. So I let somebody else raise you because I ultimately wanted to keep you safe. I've heard that one before a million other times. And I was listening to Robert and I, we just recently re-aired the Madagascar review, and Robert complained about the tropiness of one of the Madagascar movies. And I said back to him, and I'm like, it's a children's movie. Number one. Number two, there's only so many stories in the Naked universe. You're gonna hear repeats. And all of that's true. The difference is the fine art of relying on tropes is to differentiate them enough so that you almost don't notice it unless you really examine these things, or you do notice it, but it's so good you don't care. I'm not entirely sure they were tremendously successful with Sam and her mother. It felt a little rote to me. Not that it was bad. It just, again, it was like, I've seen all this before. They're doing and saying the exact same things characters in this kind of plot thread would do in this kind of story. And then now all that you're left with is the natural charisma of the characters and the voice acting. And even then, while I like, it's fine, I don't love it enough to get tremendously excited. I want to see who plays the mom.
Patricia Clarkson. Great actress.
Yeah, she's great. She has been in the last couple of things. She's done a crap ton of things.
Yeah.
So
she has a very long filmography.
Yeah. So she's in She Said, or coming out later this year, which is a political movie. Something I'm really interested in, as a matter of fact. She was in 2018. She was in a bunch of crap. She was in Out of Blue, Delirium, Jonathan, Maze Runner. Some TV that she's done recently. State of the Union. She was in 10 episodes. She did some voice work in American Experience. She has 8 episodes of Sharp Objects, and she's in a bunch of episodes of House of Cards. So I
mostly know her from 6 Feet Under. She had a recurring role in there, and she played Robert Downey Jr.'s wife in Good Night and Good Luck.
Seems like she has a fair amount of voice work here. She's a narrator in American Masters. She's a narrator in something called Nature.
She does have a very nice calming voice. She would work well for narration.
and I don't disagree with that at all, but it also isn't particularly distinctive. Like if I didn't look it up, I wouldn't have known any of that. Like some characters, I know that voice. Like Michael Douglas in this, I still very much hear Michael Douglas when he's voicing Guy, and he does a great job with it. Here it's like she has a very sweet, nice mother voice, and her and Adam Devine have perfectly nice chemistry together. But it didn't get to another level for me where I could, just unabashedly shower it with joyful criticism. Still like, it's fine.
Fair enough. But thankfully, we have the other plot devices to move us along, and they're really engaging. Like you mentioned, we have Luca and EB.
Yes.
Luca's voiced by Darren Criss of Glee fame.
Mm-hmm.
The most recent thing he's been on, I think, that we reviewed, he is the voice of Raphael in Batman versus the Ninja Turtles.
Hold that thought. Because I want to get into all of this, and I want you to let you finish your point. But before we do, because we're about the halfway point now, I want to talk about Grammarly. Grammarly's AI-powered product. If I don't do it, I'm never going to get these ad reads in. For you listeners of TV Party, Grammarly is offering a free download of the Grammarly software. Grammarly's AI-powered products help people communicate more effectively. Grammarly helps write mistake-free on Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and nearly anywhere else you write on the web. Grammarly corrects hundreds of grammar, punctuation, spelling mistakes while also catching contextual errors, improving your vocabulary, and suggesting style improvements. To download Grammarly today, go to getgrammarly.com/W2Mnetwork. Again, that's getgrammarly.com/W2Mnetwork to download Grammarly for free. Back to you on Mr. Luca.
I hate to say it. I think if Dr. Seuss had tried to write with Grammarly would have just exploded.
Grammarly would have said, just does not compute.
Grammarly just said, screw this. No, so yeah, we have Darren Criss voiced Raphael in the Ninja Turtles, and also he played the caretaker in Muppets Haunted Mansion that we reviewed last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's done a lot of. I actually didn't realize how much voice work he's done. Pulled him up on Wikipedia. He has got such a huge resume of doing voice work. Very impressive. He has a very, very clear, distinctive voice that's really nice. I like it. And I love the character of Luca. He is the son of the Duca and Dukas. He is the son of the Duca, so he's basically the prince of Ukiah, for lack of better terms. And I will say he has a very interesting character arc, but I think it's also just a little rushed. We find him when EB goes to the top of the wall, even though she's not supposed to, and they meet. And she later comes across him again. He takes her into Ukiah.
Yep, he shows her a whole new world on his magic carpet. What? What happened?
Can you add a soundbite of somebody getting slapped?
Maybe. Hang on. I'm the horse. You may continue now.
You just dismantled whatever I was going to say with the fucking horse. Congratulations.
You're welcome. Anyway, he takes EB around Ukiah, and then he doesn't know that she's from Zukia, so he thinks she's just a hot girl, and he's like, I want to show you all my things. I'd like to bring you to my house and show you my etchings.
It's weird, though, because she's not from Zukia. She's from Glurfsburg. She's living in Zukia right now, and there's a strong possibility that they're going to move there because Guy has been offered a job, and the Dukas is even so impressed with Michelle's painting. Oh my God, watching that, I was just like, wow, I wish getting a job was that easy.
Yeah, it's an awful shame that we try to convince children getting a job in the arts will pay anything or be easy.
Yeah,
based on television.
It is really funny. She's like, I'm looking for new royal portrait artists, and the portrait artist who's currently working, he's like, wait, what? That was so funny. But yeah, I do feel his arc is a little rushed. So the second night, the night that he's showing her around, they stumble into it's a museum, and they see an exhibit that's this actually puzzled me because it's an exhibit that's been under construction for ages. No one's gone behind the curtain and looked at it, and it's about how Ukiah and Zukia was once Ukiah, and they literally separated because of the bread, because the butter side thing. They just could not agree on it, so they started, and then it was like nobody knows who threw the first shot. but it's been, butter chaos ever since. And Luke is just like, everything I've been taught is a lie. And I'm like, we've known you for literally less than 24 hours. And I understand, it's like, we got to get this going and it's only 10 episodes, so we can't do a lot with it. But I felt like just all of a sudden coming to the whole everything's a lie. It's like, we don't know enough about you to know what you were taught.
Yeah, they didn't dress the table enough before they pulled the tablecloth and knocked the table over. So it's like, okay, it's like, like mid table setting and you knocked it over. And it's like, I don't have enough emotional investment to react the way you're trying to get me to react here.
Exactly.
I actually think that's a pretty brilliant point. Maybe a little less time with the James Bond villain who offers nothing. I mean, it's a sight gag and there's some voice gag work. He says things in a very funny way, but I didn't need as much Mom and Sam doing spy shit. And having like an Indiana Jones where I can't remember the villain's name anymore.
Philip Trousers.
Just kept like taking, if you remember, like in the big joke about Indiana Jones is every time he finds an artifact, whatever villain's in the movie takes it from him every single time. They kept doing that here. It was like every time Mom and Sam had a victory, the rug was taken out from under him. And maybe give some of that time back to Luca so that when bad things happen to him, we react the way we're supposed to, other than, okay. Also, again, you spend so much time getting to know the other people that I don't know, the sudden realization they're all the same people, they're all in the same gang, doesn't quite hit the note that it's supposed to for me, because you already knew they were halfway decent people to begin with. So it's like, okay.
And again, if you've read the book or the story of the Butterbell, then that's the point. The idea is that the Ukes and the Zooks literally only have one difference.
Yeah. My favorite part of the show is Luca and Evie doing their Aladdin routine. They were cute together. The voice actors, I think, had a lot of chemistry. Luca's look. Is this just, you're younger than I am. I don't know how you hang around with people even younger than us, but the half curtain hair in front of your eyes, is that the hotness? Is that what the girls like?
It's an emo thing.
Okay. And is emo still popular? Says the old man.
I don't know.
I don't understand.
I'm a Comic-Con vendor, okay? I know what's popular in pop culture, not teenagers.
Look, man.
I'm having enough trouble that some Korean pop star is releasing a new album literally called Dice. And I follow on Instagram #Dice because I sell Dice jewelry. But now my Instagram feed is flooded with pictures of this kid that I don't know who the hell he is.
Look, I'm from the 80s and the early 90s. I'm all metal, and we beat the emo kids up in the mosh pit if they ever showed up. I don't understand.
Yeah, and then they started buying all the grunge CDs, and the 80s band art and the 80s artists all of a sudden realized they had no one to play to. Go check out our review of Pam and Tommy.
So what I'm hearing from you is, yes, at the very least, the emo look is popular amongst the children.
Yeah. I do love how they keep joking about how he's just dreamy, soulful eyes when he's got the same black eyes as everyone.
It's a very girl thing, though, isn't it? Line 10 guys up, they all look the same, but whatever one clicked with you is the most important, most prettiest one there.
Naturally.
Of course.
No, they really do have great chemistry. We have a great scene of them going to a water park, or the aquatic center, as they call it, with some heavily trippy animation that I know the animators had fun making. Really cool stuff. They're in a freaking they go to a wave pool and then they go to a rave pool, and it's so fun. It's funny, it's colorful, you got great music playing in the background. It's a lot of fun.
It is. It's a really great part of the season. It kept reminding me of like the way Patton Oswalt describes like the German pipes in the German pipes in Germany, the pipe work in Germany and stuff like that. So I enjoyed it though. You're right. It's very colorful, very almost like psychedelic.
Yeah.
That does bleed into sort of the greater narrative between Yuki and Zukia. I understand it's a direct take from the book, and I understand you've got to keep it simple. You can't get into well, you see you see the Soviet Union is going into Afghanistan as a proxy for, like, you can't get into all of that in a children's show. It has to be relatively simple. Even a simple concept like buttering your bread side up or buttering it side down has to mean something. There has, you're asking the audience to just accept it on its face. This is the reason. Don't think about it. It is what it is. I just feel like better storytelling is, well, when you butter it side up, XYZ happens, and and that is why we went with this. This is why we all went with this religion of butter side up bread. But buttering it side down means X, 1, 2, 3, and that is why we all went in this direction, and that is why we accept Christ as our savior. Like, you got to give me more than just this is what split us up. It felt like they said, we're going to keep it thin. They'll just have to accept that it's thin, and this will rest on the personalities of the characters.
Well, again, that is the book. That is that is literally the Butter Battle book. I also think they did a really good job of, okay, if you have never read the book or saw the Ralph Bakshi animated special,
mm-hmm.
I genuinely like how they managed to hide, even though you probably see it coming. I do like how they try to hide, what's wrong with Yukia according to the Zooks.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I think it was a smart idea actually to have them start with the Zooks, as the book takes place with the Ukes.
Okay.
And it kind of villainizes the Zooks a little bit. So I think having the Zooks be the starting off characters was a smart choice.
Sorry, every time you say that, I just think it's like gangs from Greece. We have the T-Birds and the Zooks. Hey, Danny Zuko. Well, he's part of the Zooks. And he's T-Bird. Rawr.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
The secret police. I don't know what else to call them.
The Gestapo?
Yeah, the Zook Gestapo, literally. Shows EB and Guy a propaganda film about the evil of the Ukes. And this woman takes them on a tour and shows them the Zookian Aquatic Center, which is cool. And she's quickly adding, but don't worry about the Ukian one's just a hole in the ground they fill with a hose.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like this idea that they don't actually know what's on the other side of the wall.
Right.
But the propaganda is so strong that they have no reason to think it's anything else.
It does remind me of any time, especially like in the 80s and the early 90s, whenever Americans got exposed to like Russian culture or vice versa, there was always, oh my God, you have this here too? You have this thing that we have? That's amazing, because we all thought you were like, alien Borg or something. Like there was... I remember, not even Russia. I remember a trip to London. Now, you've lived in England for a period of time. I don't know if you've experienced this. I remember talking to somebody, just like teenage kid. I think he might have been our waiter at a restaurant that we were at. And he was like, we thought all American high schools were like Saved by the Bell. Mind you, this is at a period where there are like metal detectors to protect us from the gun violence going on in American schools. But sure, Saved by the Bell. It's like, really? And then you get enough exposure as an American to British culture, and you're like, holy crap, like I would have never have thought any of these things existed, or they had them here. I thought it was, alien, just known to America, but alien everywhere else. It's like, no, there's more similarities in the human experience than people, I think, realize or are willing to acknowledge. And that is the lesson of the Butter Battle book. Is we may live in different places, but we are more similar than we are dissimilar at a certain level. I've kind of run out of things I desperately wanted to talk about. The guy stuff was fine. I think the only thing about Guy is his relationship to EB. They have a very sweet relationship. I have not ever had the experience of having stepchildren, but I have known many a stepdad, and it is extra work to try to get over the hump of getting into a child's life after they've had a breaking up of their family or an absence of a parent. There's always a healthy dose of, depending on the age of the child, a healthy dose of and then there's a boundary of like, well, how much of a parent am I supposed to be to this child? And it's It's not easy. It's a lot to juggle. And I think the show speaks to that. Like, Guy is trying to be there for EB, trying to be her stepdad, and EB is trying to let him be her stepdad. But they have the Luca Yukazukiya conflict. They have Guy, you know, just imagine in real life, you've taken on a family, you're a stepdad, you're moving, and you have a new job. It's in a lot of ways, this show is very smartly written.
Not to mention, they do point this out. Guy becomes smitten with Zuki because we have the running joke is still there that everything he invents explodes. And I do love some of the. It was like, I gotta go, hon. My lab assistant's on fire.
Which is what happens in the world.
Naturally. And EB points out to him, he said, the only reason you like Zuki is because they don't mind that your inventions explode. But there is something to that. We followed Guy in the previous season. We know that he has been struggling with acceptance. That's kind of his whole character arc in the first season.
Sad Man Special with Spoon.
Yep, exactly. Oat mush. And you really do feel for him that it's like, yeah, even though his inventions are exploding, they still want him around.
Right.
You find out later it's because his inventions explode that they've essentially won him to make a bomb.
But that's brilliant. And I want to explain why. If you look at the natural course of human invention, a lot of stuff either was created for the purposes of killing a lot of people or accidentally created something. Like, I think like this, I don't think, if I remember correctly, reading about the history of the atom bomb, I don't think anyone knew its destructive potential until they'd done it. Like, the splitting of the atom was just something scientists wanted to do. They were like, there's this thing that exists in the universe. Let's cut it open and see what it does. Oh, it kills a lot of people. Oops. And then somebody comes along and says, that thing that kills a lot of people, that's very valuable. We can use that. Here's money.
That does also work well into the book because originally the first invention that the Ukes try to use on the Zooks is the triple sling jigger, which will throw, I guess, rocks.
That sounds like a drink you'd buy in a New Orleans bar.
And half of Dr. Seuss's work doesn't?
Fair point.
But then the Zooks come back with the Jigger Rock Snatch'em, which is basically what Guy invent. Don't even make that gesture. No, it's Dr. Seuss. Hand down. Which is what Guy invents that attracts the Dukas' attention. It's not designed to,
Hang on. If you say enough Dr. Shit stuff in a row, you sound like you're having a seizure. I just want to point that out. So anyway, the Jigger Walk in the back is just what the fuck? Like, did you die? What happened? Anywho,
the Jigger Rock Snatch'em flings the rocks back, and that's what Guy invents. But then as it continues, the Zooks start making less defensive stuff and more offensive stuff.
Yeah.
So, and again, that's a parallel the escalating arms race that we saw during the Cold War. Originally, it was we need to protect ourselves. Let's make a defensive weapon. But then it quickly turns into, as the Duke says, the best defense is a good offense. Side note: Rita Moreno as the Dukas. Where did they dig that up?
She's so good.
And
not just because she used to be on Oz. She's just a great actress in general.
Yeah. We got her. We got Hector Elizondo as the Duke.
I didn't realize until I was preparing the podcast and I was looking at the cast list. I was like, they got Hector Elizondo on here? Holy crap.
No, they have a really good cast list. And credit to Jillian Bell's agent for the fact that she is in 3 episodes in this whole thing. And yet she's still got her name still shows up pretty early in the credits.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we close out for the evening?
Well, again, we don't know if we're going to get a season 3. It hasn't been announced, and Netflix has clearly realized they got to, find money somewhere else because, they're getting tired of us all saying it's like, no, I don't need to subscribe. I got a password from my third cousin twice removed.
Or I just don't need Netflix anymore. I only have X amount of time to watch television. The world is opening up again. I can go out and be among the people. So I'm not going to sit home and watch this crap all the time. Or I have a Disney Plus subscription. Good enough.
Yeah, it's like, why do I need Netflix? I've got Disney Plus, I've got Hulu, I got Paramount Plus, I got Peacock, I got HBO Max.
Yeah.
I hate to admit it. I think the main thing I have Netflix for now is Stranger Things.
Right. Which is coming up in its 4th season, if I remember correctly. Look, there's still
4th and final.
There's still plenty. I don't want to do another hour on this because we could, but I mean, there's still plenty of decent content on Netflix. But again, if you look, you and I are steeped in, at the very least, entertainment culture for one reason or another. This podcast, you're selling jewelry, my just general interest in this. Most humans are passive television watchers at best. They have a thing they like that they watch with their partner. Or their children, or a thing they put on for their children, and that's kind of it. They don't think about it. There are people that will come up to me at work like, "Have you checked out this new show on Hulu?" And it was like 3 years old, something along those lines. And so I think, once the streaming war started, and people could find stuff that was easily digestible and entertaining, out there besides Netflix, I think there became a question of, do I need the service anymore? Is there anything on here I can live without? And I think for most people, the calculus was, I probably don't need this anymore. Also, there's a lot of stuff on Netflix that hit big. A lot of people watched it. Red Notice being one of them. A couple of other things. I think like the Adam Project was like the most watched thing recently when it came out. But even though it was highly watched, a lot of people didn't like it. Like Red Notice sucks. There's been a couple of situations with Netflix where everybody on earth watched it, saw it sucked, and was probably like, why do I even keep doing this to myself? Maybe Netflix isn't that great anymore. We might be on the downside of prestige Netflix content. Adjacent to that, you have The Power of the Dog, which was a Best Picture nominee, and won all these different Oscars for a variety of things. How many people actually watched it?
I tried to watch it and I couldn't get through it. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It is a really good movie. I'm not going to sit there and go, it's like I couldn't get through it because it sucked. No, it's just very difficult to watch.
It's very slow and very whispery.
And very negative.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of things that really make you want to watch it. It's a tough pill to swallow. Again.
What? I didn't say nothing. Especially for the people who listen to this on traditional audio.
So, and again, I hate to admit it, we have Netflix, and it's probably the least amount of one that I watch. Most of the time, I've got Disney Plus on in the background, or I've got HBO Max on in the background.
Yeah. All right. Anything real quick? Anything else about Green Eggs and Ham? If not, we're gonna talk about music.
If we get a 3rd season, I want the Sneetches.
Isn't the Sneetches the Lorax?
No.
What am I thinking of?
The Sneetches are the Sneetches on the beaches with the stars on their bellies.
Oh, them. Okay. Interesting. I don't know what I want for a 3rd season of this. I don't know. I know that as a kid and as a father, in turn, I have read I Can Read with My Eyes Shut. Maybe there's something there.
Can you podcast with your eyes shut?
I have frequently. Especially before there was a camera. And no one knew I was half asleep. So if you watch me and Dan's last UFC coverage, I was trying desperately not to fall asleep. But I cut up a TikTok out of that, and you could actually see my eyes shutting and me doing this. So yes, I can podcast with my eyes shut and have on many occasions. All right. With that said, that tonight we'll do another animated show, this one for adults. David Wright finally getting his request answered. We'll be reviewing Star Trek Lower Decks, which I'm almost done watching. It's a pretty funny show. Next week, Alexis and I have already decided we are not doing Upload, which is fine.
Nothing against Upload. It's an awesome show, and I'm looking forward to watching it. It's simply that we're both a little too busy, and we realized maybe taking a break and having a little more time to enjoy the show is probably a good thing. Still can't recommend enough. If you got it, there's another streaming service, Amazon or Prime Video.
Yep. So the Superblog team up is this week. It's celebrating the anniversary of Image Comics. So myself and Evan Bevins on Sunday night will be doing a comic strip for Term Life, a movie on Netflix and based on the comic book from Image. Nothing Monday, but I'm sure the other guys will have something out there for W2M. We also have Tuesday, Damn You Hollywood. Gavin's coming back. We'll be reviewing The Northman. It'll be myself, him, and Robert Winfrey. We had a big change in our Metal Hammer of Doom because I can't read a schedule anymore, apparently. So instead of doing Rammstein, we'll be doing Lordy's Spooky Extravaganza Spectacular. On Thursday, myself and Pat Mullen will be reviewing How I Met Your Father, starring his most wonderful dreamboat, Hilary Duff. There's an Unspoken Issues apparently dropping on Friday for Daredevil number 321. And then Saturday is the Tripped Up Trivia for Wizards and Magic. And in the evening, in theory, provided I actually get to it, unlike what happened Saturday, where I promised we were doing a boxing thing and then we weren't. In theory, I'll be doing an alternative commentary for Oscar Valdez versus Shakur Stevenson, which will be on ESPN. This past week, we had re-airings of Hop, the alternative commentary we did last Easter. My kids and I, which was a lot of fun. We re-aired our Madagascar Long Road to Ruin, and my son and I did an alternative commentary for Ben-Hur, which was freaking hilarious. I hope everyone enjoyed that. My son and I had a good time with it. And
wait, how long is Ben-Hur again?
Like 2.5 hours. And at one point, we were like, we're going to be late for Easter dinner. I have to fast forward through this.
I was going to say, it's like, your son's awesome and everything, but it's like you kept him commentating through Ben-Hur for 2.5 hours.
Again, we got to a point where both of us was like, fast forward already. Get to the chariot race. I'm going to cut the chariot race part out and put that on TikTok. Honestly, don't even listen to the alternative commentary. Just listen to us screaming at the chariot race. Like, oh, that horse!
Yeah, you talk about how your son gets bored about certain things. Like, he actually paid attention through Ben-Hur? Kid's got a better attention span than I do.
He was a well-behaved child, but it was rough. Speaking of well-behaved children, myself, Robert, and Jason did a review for How to Train Your Dragon 2. That re-aired on Monday. And then in the evening, speaking of well-behaved children, Sean Comer and I reviewed Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, John Carter, and Barbarella. The Teasleys, both Jason and Amber, were on our Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore review. Plus, we had a review of Kung Fu Panda 3 re-air. The anniversary of the Deepwater Horizon BP oil spill was this past week, so we re-aired our review of that movie. And then we also reviewed Ghost Impera last night. This weekend, nothing on Friday. We are definitely doing an alternative commentary for Tyson Fury versus Dillian White. I will absolutely be home for that. That'll be sometime in the late afternoon, early evening. So check that out. All right, Alexis, go ahead and do your plugs.
All right. So, yeah, we just did April's edition of Tripped Up Trivia, which was all things wizards and magic. Had a lot of fun. You mentioned Amber Teasley guesting on for Secrets of Dumbledore. She also came on that show to talk because evidently no one knows Harry Potter quite like her. We had so much fun with that. That will be airing soon. And, of course, we're getting ready for May's Tripped Up Trivia. And every May we do the same thing. It is Sci-Fi Month. This is in honor of May the 4th be with you, aka Star Wars Day. This is also officially the 1-year anniversary of Tripped Up Trivia because we started with Sci-Fi Month. We're looking forward to going back to that and realizing, oh, wait, we can't ask that question. We asked that last year. Darn it, we got to come up with something new. So we are looking for contestants for that.
Robert wanted to point out that I was talking about the 2016 Ben-Hur, not the one with Charlton Heston.
It's still 2.5 hours.
Please continue.
So if you are interested in being a contestant on Tripped Up Trivia for Sci-Fi Month, or maybe for June, which the theme is going to be Pixar, this is to tie into the upcoming release of Lightyear. Looking forward to hearing Chris Evans take over for Tim Allen as a younger Buzz Lightyear. I think the film's actually going to be quite good. Watch it bombs and blows up, and that comment blows up in my face.
I don't think so. I think people are. I don't know. With the way half the universe seems to be reacting to Disney's take on LGBTQ community stuff, it's hard to say. I
wasn't even going to bring that up.
I only bring it up because like half the universe seems to want to boycott Disney because of it. The other half seems accepting of it. And then there's another half, 3 halves, that are just like, I just like the Toy Story stuff, and so do my kids. I don't want to get into any of this political crap.
Did you hear that Disney just had their self-governing rights revoked?
No, I didn't. What happened?
Florida basically said, if you're going to go against what we're doing, that we're not going to give you these rights anymore.
That's big, man. I think when I read The Swamp, which was like the development of Central Florida, it talked about how it was either that or Disney War, where basically the entire plot of land that Disney is built on is its own town with its own like fire department and everything else. So if they got that taken away from them, that's actually huge. That's a pretty big story.
Yeah, basically they got tired. Okay, so Florida did the whole Don't Say Gay bill and a couple of other things, and Disney said we're not supporting this, and then a bunch of conservatives started boycotting Disney, and then Disney essentially said, go ahead and do what you want. I think Mickey Mouse is going to be around a lot longer than Ron DeSantis. And Florida's government essentially said, oh, you want to play hardball? Okay, then guess what? We hold the cards.
There's a lot of people from very blue states moving into Florida. Things will change over time, but in the immediate, still pretty red. So it'll be an interesting fight to say the least.
Naturally. So, but anyways, back to what we were saying with the Tripped Up Trivia. So May is Sci-Fi Month. June is Pixar Month. If you are interested in being a contestant on our game, go ahead and follow us and hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. Let us know. We're always looking for contestants who want to have a lot of fun. Recording Tripped Up Trivia is always a blast. And now for the plugs that actually pay the bills, because somebody still doesn't pay me for this.
Shut the fuck up. Speaking of things that pay, listen, shut up for a minute. I want to remind everybody that one of our great sponsors that pays us money is Amazon Music Unlimited, for which we are giving away a free 30-day trial of the Amazon Music Unlimited service. That is getamazonmusic.com/W2M network. Again, that's getamazonmusic.com/W2M network. You can stream all of the sissy pansy music that Alexis listens to, or all the great music that I listen to, that we talk about in Metal Hammer of Doom from men, big meaty men slapping meat and listen to metal. That's what we like over here on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. So you can stream it unlimitedly on us, big meaty men podcasting and slapping meat, at getamazonmusic.com/W2M network. And as you were saying, madam.
Well, next time I got a chance, I'm not getting you Sam Jones's autograph.
Oh, that hurts my feelings.
Well, you called my music taste sissy.
You said something to me the last time I asked you that question. I'm like, who? So yeah, I don't know what you listen to.
Fair enough. Okay, so yes, on to my personal plugs. Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. I am a Comic-Con vendor. I am a jewelry designer, currently rocking my earrings that are actually made out of Battleship tokens. That is our main thing with Honeysuckle Rose. We upcycle game pieces into unique, one-of-a-kind accessories. As soon as I am done being tortured here by Mark, I am heading over to Bartle Hall in Kansas City for Planet Comic-Con. This is our 10-year anniversary with this show, with this convention. So excited. Love Planet Comic-Con. As soon as they're done, we're heading down to Springfield, Missouri for Vision Con. Then we're getting ready to head back up to St. Louis for the Fan Expo out there. That we've done shows in St. Louis before, never done the Fan Expo. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot of fun. In the meantime, if you can't make it out to any of these shows, our stores are fully stocked on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon, and you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. That's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
All right, folks, I want to thank Alexis Hejna for hanging out with me today on This Here TV Party Tonight. Check us out again very soon. Please check out our Discord. There's a link to the W2M Discord in this podcast. You can interact with us. Alexis knows shit tons about animation. You can talk to her about it. She's now very active on our Discord. You can interact with anybody that I've had as guests or co-hosts, panelists, etc., They're all in. Well, they're not all in there. Some of them are refusing. But,
there was some dissension basically with people saying it's like, well, can you still reach me on Facebook Messenger? Then why don't I just stay here?
Near full scale rebellion. But that's fine.
Not to the levels of Yuki and Zukia, but getting pretty damn close.
Yeah. Well, I think I finally just gave up. Like, do whatever you people want. I'm just doing as I'm told. In any case, I've been told. Tell you about the Discord. We're there. There's individual sub Discords for all the different shows. So if you want to interact with us, we will interact with you. I check it daily. I have it set to my phone. I'm in a couple of different Discords that are heavily populated, and just another way to build engagement. So if you like our show and you want to talk to us, but Messenger or Snapchat or whatever is not your thing, TikTok, we're on Discord now. There's a link provided for you in the description of this podcast. For the rest of you people, if you found this but are not subscribed, please subscribe to our YouTube page. And then for everybody else, hey, remember when this just used to be an audio medium? Well, that too. Please find us on Spotify or Apple Music or Google Podcasts or any podcast catcher that you like. We're there. We're W2M until we're something else. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you so desire. And now I'm done. I'm done talking now. It's like, please breathe. Yeah. Be well, be safe, and behave.